And welcome, guys. If you're just tuning in, hope you're having a great day. So I kind of jumped into this project. I don't want to say in the middle of it, but customer brought me this and was like, "Hey, one side of the speakers aren't working. What do you think? And can you look over it for me?" So I did. So I already went through it on the issue. I'm gonna walk back through it because I think it's worth making a video on, just for anybody else that's out there. So these razors, this one in particular is discontinued. It's a single seater, which is pretty cool. It's the RS1. So you can buy an aftermarket speaker system for it. So it's Bluetooth. You got the controller here. They install it. They drill a hole in this and they mount your tweeter pods, and then you have your mids down at the bottom. They mount underneath, and then they tap and screw 2 screws down there for stability. And then it all gets plugged in underneath here. So I'll take all that apart and explain what I did and how I diagnosed my situation. Now yours could vary too, or you could just be wanting to watch this to upgrade the speakers. So without further ado, let me go ahead and take this apart and explain more. Okay, so first thing, underneath this cover, if you take your hood off and your trunk lifts right out, you'll see a fuse panel. Okay, so we don't have to access this. This is a pretty slick kit. So how they have it is basically just a plug and play. Underneath here is your accessory panel where you have your plugs to get your power. So all you gotta do is plug the power in, and then down to your sending unit, which your unit is actually that volume knob. It controls everything. But in order to get to the speaker plugs, we got to take these out. So yours might vary, but this one is T40. Hold on, there's some cars. So yours may vary. I got 2 T40 Torx bits, so I'm going to go ahead and remove those. Okay, now that that's removed, you went ahead and exposed the wires. So I just kind of tucked them back in here. Like I said, I already went over this. So you have these. This is from the controller. You're not going to have this if you do not have this kit. If you're looking to put this kit in, then this is what it will come with. Once you mount your volume control, you kind of just snake and feed the wires up to here or wherever you want. So this is what it comes with. You just got 2 channels. You have a left and then you have a right. And that's what powers the speakers. So it'll go to the speaker itself, the 4-inch, and then it'll have another pigtail that comes off the speaker that feeds the tweeter, and then you put it up here for your highs. So what I did was I got access to these wires, and I wanted to see if it was the receiver. So if the receiver ended up shorting out on one of the sides, then I would be able to tell with this. So I took the good speaker out that I knew worked, and I plugged it into the other channel for the side that didn't work. And both of these power the speaker absolutely fine. It does work. So the tweeters and the mids, they definitely work. So as far as the output of the receiver, completely fine. That then drew my attention to the speaker. So I tried the tweeter itself on the good speaker, and the tweeter worked just fine. So that also brought me right back to the mid bass. I'm going to go ahead and go downstairs. I got the replacement speakers. I'll go through all that and I'll explain to you what I think is the issue and then how we're going to resolve it. So stay with me. Okay, down here in my lovely downstairs workshop, I got a 3D printer. More on that soon, because I think we're going to apply it to this project. It's not needed, but I want to do something a little extra. So here's the speakers when you pull them out. This is what I was talking about. These are the units that come in the kit. These are your actual dash. So when they mount up, they're kind of underneath like this, right by your knees. So those will be the factory screws, and then down here is where they tapped and drilled into the plastic. So like I said, under the windshield or right by your cluster, this is where it would plug in to give the speaker power. That inputs into this speaker and plays your mids, and then right up here just pigtails and goes to your tweeter pod. Okay, that's for your highs. So I took these out. This was the side that wasn't working. It could be different. I think it's actually over here on the side-by-side, or the RS1. But so this one works great. This tweeter works great. This side did not. You heard a little bit of sound come out of the mids. You heard nothing coming out of the tweeters. So I wanted to, like I said, process some elimination. So this side did work. So when I went under the dash, I unplugged it and I plugged it into the side that was normally supposed to power this. I just unplugged those. Plugged it into that channel, worked just fine. This worked, that worked just like it should. Okay, cool. Now let me see if the speakers are the problem. So now that I know both channels coming from the receiver up to the speakers, now I know those both work. So I plugged this in to the good side and that did not work at all. I plugged this in and it barely worked. So I know that this is the problematic side. We'll get to this, but as far as working as it does as the unit from factory or with this kit, that works fine. So what I did was I took this apart now. So once you flip the speaker over in order to access the inside, you got 6 screws right here. Those screws are T25s. Let's see if I can, right there. Those are T25s. Now, because this is off-road and stuff like that, if you use it rough and everything, you might have dirt down here. Stick a pick and stick some stuff down there, break it up, and blow it out. That way you can get to the heads of these screws and be able to extract them. So once you take these 6 out, remove the side there, this will be bolted on. It'll be bolted on right here. Those are right here. Focus. All right, those are T20s. Okay, still it's a Torx bit. Still a Torx bit. So T20 will be for this right here. I'll explain what this is. And same thing for the 4 for the speaker. Okay, so when I started looking at the speaker some more, it definitely got rust on it, and it does not want to push down that easy. You can feel it scratching and scraping. Yes, these are, I don't want to say they're waterproof. You can't completely submerge it underwater and stuff like that and expect them to last, but they are water resistant to an extent. So I don't want to say that it's splashing and stuff. Note that they have this pretty well sealed off. So once it's mounted and everything like it should be, it's not that water's getting inside this and messing this up. My assumption, I'm not saying that that's what caused this, but my assumption is that the reason why you got rust and stuff on this magnet, the gentleman that uses this loves his music, loves to use AC/DC while he's out there ripping this thing, and he rips this thing. So I'm assuming these are working full blast, very loud. So yes, naturally they're going to gain some heat, and once you turn it off and you go through the nights and go through the winter, stuff like that, it's getting hot and then it's drawing moisture in, so on and so forth. So yes, it's going to eventually accumulate this. You're not going to have it last forever, but they are water resistant to an extent, but waterproof they are not. And it's just normal that you're going to get this. It's not that it got submerged, it just happens. It draws moisture in. So where this barely moves, so the voice coil is kind of frozen in there from all the gunk and the corrosion. So that's why I heard sound coming from here, but it was not operating like it should. It's not free flowing, it's not loud. But with the tweeter, now this is called a crossover. If you get a proper system, which they did good on this, but this is a crossover. So what that's going to do is separate your mids from your very high pitched frequency range. If you want to learn more on that, you can. I'll go brief over it. So this will handle basically lower notes, like the depth of the voice, and then this crosses over to the tweeter. So the tweeter will do like the very loud, high pitched stuff. You'll notice that in some songs, but that's not working at all, and this is barely working. This is barely working because it's got a frozen coil, and then this crossover is probably shot because it's fighting so much and running so much trying to power this at full blast that it ended up burning out this crossover, so then it wasn't even allowing any passage to the tweeter to working at all. So here we are to this point. What do? So apparently this kit is an MB Quartz kit that has the receiver, the 2 tweeters, and the 2 mids, a plug and play system, and they're involved with Polaris. So in order to get a replacement, I don't even think you can buy one. I don't know, I didn't contact them, but it is a direct Polaris contact kind of situation. And I'm assuming if you do that, you might know the price on it. I'm gonna bet that it's kind of taxed. The kit itself is a nice kit, don't get me wrong, but nothing lasts forever. And all we're gonna do is just fix the problem. That's all. I'm not doing anything better. I'm just fixing the problem. And basically, all this is your mid woofer and a crossover and a 1-inch piezo tweeter. So that's what we're gonna do. With all that being said, let me explain what I'm about to do. All right, here we are. SKAR Audio. I became a really good fan of these guys, and if you haven't heard of them, then I'm actually kind of shocked. They have blown up over the, I don't know, I'd say even 5, 6, 7, 8 years. They have definitely blown up. Their quality for the price point is absolutely exceptional. So I went with these ones. These are the 4-inch coaxial speakers. These are going to be for the mids, and I went with the 1-inch tweeters, also from SKAR Audio. Great kit, so let's go ahead and open them and I'll explain a little bit further. Okay, so everything is all out and displayed. These are the 4-inch right here. So they have a tweeter for the highs in the center, and then your 4-inch woofer. Each one is just like that. 4 ohms, 120 watts max, 60 watts RMS. All your specs will be right here on the back of the box, as far as in case you wanted to do some other stuff. This is your cutouts and your mounting depth and stuff like that, your overall. Same thing with the tweeters. Got all your specs on there. These are the tweeters themselves. They got flush mount, so you just cut out the hole and this will fit all the way in there and sit nice and flush on your dash. Or you have these where you can mount them however you would like and have your pods. So if you want, you can put that right on your RS1 or your side-by-side. We're going to make some stuff. And here's your crossovers. Again, very important that you have this, because it's going to take all those frequencies, and it has a low pass and a high pass filter in this. So tones that should not be going into these will not go into these, and will keep these things crisp and sounding excellent. Same thing with this. It will prevent frequencies going into here that this isn't designed to output. So it's very important we have this. All we're going to be doing is basically swapping that. Nothing crazy. The most we're going to need to do is cut some wires, butt connectors, maybe some shrink tube, solder, however you would like to do it, and then put these in this place. Like I said, I'm going to be using my 3D printer. I'm going to actually design. So the only sizes that they had available is a 4-inch, 5 1/4, 6 1/2, 6x9, and 6 1/2 C, which is component. So that means instead of this tweeter being mounted on the voice coil in the middle, it's separate, and then you have a separate, so it's components with it. That's what the C stands for. So I went with 4-inch. One, believe me, I've had these, very nice. I have a video, I'll actually link it in the description below, of a full install on a Jeep that I did with all SKAR Audio. Very awesome setup. So this is a little bit bigger than 4. Let me see. So it's a little bit bigger than 4. It's not quite 5 1/4. So to go up to 5 1/4, we would be hitting the edges here, and then the box wouldn't go together. I'm still wanting to keep this box. It's weatherproof for the most part. I mean, it's an excellent box, excellent design. Plus, it's already mounted. It's got everything that it needs to mount in the RS1. But for right here, I got 2 little bit concerns with this tweeter in the center. It kind of pokes on that grill. I don't want to cut out and modify the grill. And then as far as these mounting tabs go, because again, a little bit smaller, so I'm going to have to design a adapter ring. If you decide to go with everything that I'm doing here and you want to copy everything that I'm doing, I will have anything that I make and make this video work, I will have it available. Just probably I'll have a link in the description below to my eBay account, or you can reach out to me Facebook, but we'll get to that towards the end of the video. So right now, that's basically all we're going to do. We're going to get a hold of this, get these wires out. I don't want to break that seal, so I'm going to leave that pigtail and I'm going to just follow it in, and then right here is where we're going to start making our snips and go from there. All right, the first thing that I'm going to do is cut these wires. So just go ahead and cut them straight across, and then we'll strip them off. I got some wire strippers here. Go ahead and strip them off and expose the ends, and then I'll further explain where they go in their jobs. Okay, now that I got those cut off, I stripped them a little bit, twisted them. So here's where I'm going to further explain this. So this is where it plugged in from the head unit. Left front speaker. Okay, so this is your input. This goes in, and then it went into the crossover, and as that crossover did what it needed to do, it kicked out the power for the tweeters and kicked out the power for the mid. So as you notice right here, the tweeter, it's black and red. So we do know that this is an output right here, because it's supposed to output to the tweeter. And then the white right here, that's your input. So this is going to go to the input of your crossover. So the white with the black stripe, anytime it's got a black stripe on it, that's indicating negative. A solid color, that's the same suit, it's just it's missing the black line, that's indicating the positive. So we're going to, the solid white is going to go on to the positive, which is the red, and then the one with the black stripe right here, that's going to connect to the black stripe on this one. Let's go ahead and connect that. I will be using solder and shrink tube over here for my connections. I would use butt connectors and stuff, but I'm trying to eliminate the possibility of another corrosion issue. Not that it's going to have one, it'll probably take even a couple years, but I'm still going to go ahead and solder it. That's the route I chose. So if you never dealt with solder before, pretty simple. Let your soldering iron heat up. Always get flux. Flux is basically, how do I explain it? You squirt flux on where you want the solder to go, and the solder concentrates right there. It doesn't take a while to heat up and stuff like that. It just kind of does it. Wherever you put this, that's where the solder is going. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slip on my shrink tube before I solder. I'm going to solder my connection and then slide the shrink tube over it and heat it up with a lighter. Okay, so first thing, go ahead and unravel all this wire. You do not need all of this for the original intent for this crossover, but we will need this wire for the woofer because we're going to have to come off of here. I'll explain as we go. Go ahead and put the end of it up to there, and then go stretch it out, and right at the bottom, which would be the half of this, go ahead and cut that wire. Once you do, you'll end up with something like this right here. Okay, that's all we're going to need for the woofer. Set this off to the side for now. All right, next you're going to get your speaker. You're going to put a little bit of flux. You're going to put a little bit of flux on there. Just like so. See how that squared on there? Same thing with the negative. Okay. Then you're going to feed your wire right up through that hole. So positive with positive, and then black over here with the black stripe. Once you got that wire up through there, drop some solder on that and let it cool down for a second. Alright, once you got your leads soldered on there, give them some tugs. Okay, once they cool off a little bit, solder doesn't usually take that long to cool off. Go ahead and slide your shrink tube over it. That one like so. Same thing with the positive. Make sure they fit over it. Go ahead and melt them on. Don't stay in one place, you know, for a very long time with your heat. I use a lighter. You can use a heat gun if you want. That's a little bit of a safer route. But like I said, as long as you don't just sit there, you'll be fine. Okay? And then just like that, that should be how your leads are. Now you got all this wire, so we'll get back to this. Okay, now here we are again. This is what we just did. So this, remember, this is an input, okay? And so is the white, because it's coming from the radio with the white wires. It's coming from the receiver in to the box, into the speakers. So this would be the input. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this input side wire that we cut, okay, and we're going to match them both. So both negatives and both positives we're going to twist together. Alright, once you've done that, you will notice that they both meet up. Both positives and both negatives are twisted together, okay? They're going to share the same in-feed. That's okay, because this filter is what takes the in-feed and it filters it out to the tweeters. We'll get to that. But for right now that you got these paired together, go ahead and put a little bit of flux on there. If you're soldering, put a little bit of flux on there and connect those two together with some solder. Okay, once they're soldered to your leads and the correct corresponding indicators, so go ahead and slide over your shrink tube and secure it. This is the first part, each one shrink tubed individually, and then now I'm going to group them with this one over that. And just like so. So now it's all grouped together, it's not going anywhere, they're both soldered and everything is shrink tubed together. So don't really have to worry too much about water getting in that. So now here's the crossover. I'm going to probably, fits right in that pocket just nice actually. Probably with a little bit of, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of 2-way tape here and just kind of stick it on there. Don't really want it rattling all too much around. That's why it's mounted in there. If I can get it in there, it's not going to really make a big difference anyway because I don't have the mounting tabs. But I got some really strong 2-way tape, so I'll just stick it on there. So once that's secure, you're going to go ahead and now take your crossover for the output and cut off these tabs. We don't need these. These are for the tweeters themselves, but we don't need that. We're going to need this pigtail for externally, just like how this is, how it plugs onto that pod and then it plugs in. All we need is that plug. So we don't need the way that they supplied, even though it works and it's good, but we don't need it for this particular application. So go ahead and cut these off and strip them. There you go, they're stripped. Flux, solder, flux and solder. So next, go ahead and find some shrink tube to put over these so that when you make the connection, you can. The shrink tube doesn't just protect it from weather. I mean, if these touch and stuff together while in power, then it will short them out. So you're also, it's like black tape and stuff like that, you know, it's trying to insulate it and protect it from making contact with each other. But make sure you get the shrink tube on there so when you make the connection, you can do it. Just another example. Got them soldered on there. Now I'm going to slide these shrink tubes over there, heat them up, and then follow with this big one and secure that. Alright, here we go. Basically this side is it's all swapped. I did put the tape on there. I'm not putting it there because I did want to leave room for the magnet. Not exactly sure where it's going to be, but I don't want to take up any room at all. So I found this pocket right down here. That's going to be just fine, as this one also has, you know, a little lip on it. So we'll go ahead and just stick it on right there and then zip tie these wires and clean them up. Okay, and here we are, as mentioned. Everything's zip tied up, shrink tube, so on and so forth. The tweeter goes to the tweeter output right here, which we'll make contact with that here in a little bit. And the woofer is connected to the power. So next is to measure and find out a mounting ring. I'm going to do that. Obviously, this being the magic of YouTube, it'll be the very next clip or very soon. As far as these tweeters go, I will do, so it's going to be mimicked. The next side, the next setup is going to be exactly how we did here. So I'll show you this example, and then I'll do the other side off camera. Maybe on camera, just time lapse it, I'm not sure. But what we're going to want to do is basically rob this pigtail, and probably just unsolder it there, and unsolder it there, and solder it on solder. Okay, now that we got to this point, this one is all ready. This one's all ready. Again, I did this off, or time lapse that you watched that. Everything's exactly the same. The casing or the housing is a little bit, you know, it's just shaped different, but the components inside, exact same. So whatever you did over here, just do over here. You see where I placed this. Again, if you go with a different kit, you might have different things that you need to do as far as where you're going to place this. They come in different sizes. But this kit right here, this is where I put it. Two-way tape that's on there. And it's really strong tape. I think it's like 60-pound weight per inch or something like that. So it's not going anywhere. Now we get to the tweeter. So all I'm going to do is right up here, I'm going to cut the wires right on the pigtail and strip those back, and then match the black line with the black and the solid color with the solid red. So negative, negative, positive, positive. Shrink tube it, and then overlay all of it with a bigger shrink tube. Alright, so everything is ready, soldered, secured, so on and so forth. I went ahead and went with these casings for the tweeters. They allow you to move them around, so do the other ones. But I wanted this ring and with the branding on there because, like I said, I am going to be 3D printing something right now. Here are the rings. I did all the measurements and stuff like that. If you're into 3D printing, then I am using PETG filament, which is going to be stronger and more resistant to heat. So this should last. I'm also going to build the tweeter pods. I already designed something. I actually really like the way they turned out. Just needs a little bit of modifications, but like I said, this is going to be the adapter rings for the speakers to go from the original size down and accommodate for the 4-inch. So they're going to mount in the same spots, and then, well, there's one of the test rings right now. So I made one modification to it, actually two. But anyway, so this is the adapter ring. It works fine, absolutely perfect. So yeah, that's basically it. It's all going to be available on my eBay store, and I'll leave the link in the description below. Everything that's involved in this video, except for like the solder and the soldering iron and stuff like that, I'm going to have in the description below. So if you want to just mimic this exact kit, then go for it. So once these rings are done, I'm going to go ahead and mount it. Like I said, also, it comes with hardware, not these, I found those. It comes with hardware for the tweeters. So I'm going to, everything that you receive in your package, you're going to be able to use. You don't have to go out and buy some screws and stuff like that. So everything is going to be kind of a plug-and-play setup here, as long as you're willing to do the splicing and soldering and stuff. So once those get done, then I'll come back to it and mount them and show you guys that. All right, so having lunch and stuff, and my 3D printer said that it was complete. So here is the final adapter ring. You see it's got a step up, and they are also labeled, in case you want to get it. This one, L for left. See it right there. And this one will be right, for the right side. So this one will go with that speaker. This is the prototype. And then this one. So notice this one's okay, but this one, it got real tight right there. So there's a piece just like that, how it's notched out so it fits in there, and then just kind of line up. So you're going to use your existing hardware that came with it to mount the 4 ones, and then you'll put your speaker on, obviously face down, and then line up these ones. Screw that one in on as well. So let me get that and then I'll show you. Okay, and just like that, I used the stock screws, the short ones. You got 2 sizes there. I used the short ones right here. That's what came out of the speaker to begin with. That's what I used to mount the bracket on, and then I just used the machine. So they got 2 different style Phillips screws with the pack that it came with for the tweeters. So I just used one style here, and I'll use those styles on the other one. Screws to screws, as long as they hold nice and tight. But these are the machine ones. Anyway, yeah, so there you go. It's all mounted on there. Now all we have to do is put it on like this and put the 6 big ones back in. Okay, now here we are out here, both installed and put together. So I just wanted to show you while I was down here, because like I said, I jumped into this video kind of after I already took it apart. So I felt like it was going to be good content. So when you're looking at least this side by side, this RS1, right down here, right by your right knee and then your left knee, that's where these units sit. So right here you got 2 machine screws that are, let's see, T40, the T40 Torx. I took these out, and then down here you see they tapped in the other Torx bit. Those ones, now it could vary with your application, the T25. So once those are bolted up in here, let's see if you can see, yep, right up through there on both sides, leads up to here, which, like I said, is going to be your command center, basically. So right there is your auxiliary outputs, and it just kind of plugs into here, gives it positive and negative, and they run the wires through it down to here, and right here is the controller. So keep in mind, these side-by-sides, unless they're from factory with the factory system in it, even at that, they're also limited. So this is your power bank, okay? And you got a relay and a couple of fuses, some resistors in it, but all in all, that is your power. That Bluetooth connectivity, it's your volume control. You can skip the songs by up and down, but that's about it. So as far as adjusting your EQs and getting a lot of performance out of these speakers, you're kind of slim on that. Now, we can take the same setup and run the power wire down, and we can make an aftermarket head unit in here, or a more powerful one, or they even got mini amplifiers. The sky's the limit, guys, when it comes to car audio. If this guy's interested in that, then maybe we'll do that. If not, so be it. That's fine, because you know what? This works just fine. It does the job. Of course, I already tested it, and I'll demonstrate it at the end when it is working. So right now I'm just mounting these up. And then right up here is where you plug in for your power feed, and then you have your tweeter lead. So, oh, you weren't supposed to see that. So I'm making pods. You'll see them when they're complete, but they're gonna look pretty cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish installing these, and then honestly, I'll probably throw some 3D printing clips in, and then we'll come back to here when it's all done. All right, guys, it is the next day. I got full days, so carrying on this project, it just had to bleed over. But I updated the stencil. I did create a stencil for it, and they're for the speaker pods. So here are the speaker pods, 3D printed. PETG, very hard to get completely smooth. This, for example, this right here, I printed this also on my eBay account. This is a trim panel removal tool, but this is made out of PLA, a lot smoother. Same thing with all my organizers and stuff that I make and create. If you're interested in any of this stuff, these organizers, go ahead and reach out to me. Got all kinds of different ones. These are the deeper ones for having that stuff stand upright. Made a little holder for my desk. So, but PETG is also very high or higher resistance to heat. So being outside in the sun and stuff like that, these should work just fine. But I think they turned out fantastic. So there's a left and there's a right. Okay, just like that. So those are going to go into the existing or the previous spots. This will be the stencil for it. So the half moon is for the tweeter sticking out just a little bit right out the bottom. So my idea is to line it up. I got this hole right here, or this little indent. Let's see if you can see it. Yep, right there. Start your drill there, and when you go in with your 2-inch hole saw, just kind of lean it a little bit, and then go in to the points here. So I'm gonna put the stencil on, and I'm gonna trace it and dot the holes and stuff like that, because that's also where your mounting things are. Pre-drill those, and then drill, go in sideways, and then should be able to bend the flap or score it just a little bit and then bend it in. So I'm gonna go ahead and go over there and demonstrate it. Okay, here we are. Like I said, these were previously installed by somebody, so it looks like these are the style holes that they decided to go with. Not sure what shape that is. So as far as lining it up with the stencil, here we go, and trying to get a good starting hole in the indent. Well, actually, we might be able to actually. Never mind. So plan must go on. I have to cut this out anyway, and that's gonna be my starting point. So hopefully everything works out. But this is the stencil. It is exactly the same as far as the bottom of this. It's 100% the same. So you don't have to worry about any overage or leaving any clearance room. What you see is what you got, except for right here, at the tip, it might be a little bit longer. So kind of favor this side a little bit, but other than that, it's where it's going to be. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll probably time lapse this or just do it off camera. I don't know where my tripod is, so I'll do my best, but we'll put it on there. I'm going to take a marker and mark the 3 holes and then trace this half moon in this indent, and that's where I'm going to start my drill. Again, go in with the hole saw, go in and then just go at an angle and then just mimic that right there and stop at those lines. And then that should be enough, all you would need to clear the backing of this. All right, well, I'm back. Sorry, I guess the phone fell over. So there we go. And the corresponding side right here, which would be how it faces, you feed your wire in, and then just fits it in just like that. And then go ahead and pre-drill your holes. So the kit that came on it already came with screws. I'll probably just reuse those. As far as the drill bit size, all right, to my surprise, I do have a drill bit size. Here is the factor screw for reference. I'm going to go with this drill bit, which is a 3/64, it looks like. That's pretty tiny. But I still would like to do a pilot. You should be fine. It's ABS plastic, so if you just want to kind of muscle it in there, it definitely should be fine. That stuff won't split and stuff like light wood and stuff. So I'm still going to pre-drill it and then screw it in. All right, I did forget to mention that these, as long as you got this one, again, this particular model RS1, these little side panels, they just pop right out and get you access to get the tweeter wire over to here. So but here we go. So the main power in the tweeter, left and right hooked up. The pods are both installed and the mid's down there. So let me go ahead and zip tie these just to make it all nice and neat. Put it down there. I'll put the windshield back on, put these covers on, and then we'll go ahead and listen. as you can tell, works really great, very loud, very crisp. So yeah, that's basically it. If you're interested in these pods, depending on the kind of traffic, honestly, if you guys really like them, I can print these in almost any color available. I just want to print them in PETG, so keep in mind they'll be a little glossy. Out here, honestly, they're not even too bad. They're a little bit, they're a little calmed down compared to when they were freshly printed. But as far as the installation goes, it's relatively simple. So hopefully this helped you or someone else that you shared it to. If you do, as soon as they go out, you know, then just replace them. You just got to make sure that the ones that you get are kind of the same compatible, and if not, then you know, you get adapter rings and stuff. So if you're interested in doing this exact swap, everything will be down in the description below, including my eBay website, and I'll also add my Instagram and my Facebook. That way, if you need to get a hold of me, you can. If you're interested in these, in any colors, the rings, stuff like that. So I really appreciate the support, and until next time, thank you.